Hello everyone, my name's Dr. Sam Hurst and I haven't made a little video for a while, but it's October, the favourite time of the year for Gothic people like us, and I thought what I would do is a short video every day. A Gothic book a day keeps the vampires away, or call them close, whichever you prefer. Every day I'm going to be talking about a key Gothic text, a recommendation from me, if you will. I'll be telling you about why this book might be important or good to read. I'll be giving you some details of the story, and I will also be giving you if you like this, you might like this sort of a recommendation. I'm going to try and keep every video to 5 minutes. So we'll see how that goes. I tend to be a little bit verbose, but we'll try. Anyway, as many of you will already have guessed, my first choice is going to be The Castle of Otranto. I can never quite stop talking about it, and I do in fact have it in 3 separate copies. 1, 2, 3, as well as having access to original copies via the magic of the internet. This story is an obvious choice because it is often regarded as being the first Gothic novel published in 1764 by Horace Walpole, the result, as he tells it anyway, of a dream that he had one night about his own house, Strawberry Hill, and a giant, unattached limb lolling around upstairs. Now, it's a story which was first published as a translation, but in that second edition where he claimed ownership of it, he called it a Gothic tale. And that's, apart from the early date, one of the main reasons why it's often considered above its potential competitors to be the first Gothic novel. He also explained in the preface to that second edition something of the Gothic project, to combine the medieval romance full of adventure and the supernatural with the modern novel, more interested in realism and a mimetic representation of psychology and the actual world. You can debate whether he managed it at all. Now, what is The Castle of Otranto about? It's often a bit of a surprise for first-time readers because it's not very scary and it's often not that atmospheric. It begins in a moment which for me has always seemed incredibly hilarious. We have our tyrant Manfred and his wife Hippolyta and their 2 children, Conrad and Matilda, and it's Conrad's wedding day to the lovely Isabella. Now, Manfred's arranged this wedding because he's aware that his ancestors usurped this land from the true line, and he believes Isabella to be the latest in that true line. He wants to marry into that family to sort of soothe the angry spirits and Providence itself. But unfortunately, Providence has other plans. And we open with Conrad getting crushed to death by a giant helmet. Now, there's lots of other supernatural incidents that take place. Skeletons walking about, people poddling out of paintings. We have giant limbs lolling about. We have a saint ascending into heaven. So it's packed full of quite exaggerated supernatural incidents, but the main story itself is one of usurpation and then a family curse, because Manfred's attempts to make everything better, to marry Isabella to his son Conrad, and then to sort of push Hippolyta to one side and marry Isabella himself, well, it all goes tragically wrong, and the lands eventually pass to the true heir Theodore, who we've been thinking was a peasant the whole time, just a very noble one. But it turns out he's the true heir to Otranto, and he'll get everything he wants, except not quite. He ends up marrying the lovely Isabella, but his true love was Matilda, who was accidentally killed by, well, I don't want to give you any spoilers. But he ends the novel king of the castle, as it were, lord of the castle, but dedicated to a life of mourning over his lost love. Beautiful. Anyway, it's always worth a read to get you into this idea of where the Gothic started and introduces some of those many tropes that we'll see time and time again. Isabella spends a lot of time, for example, running around subterranean corridors and cave systems. We have that motif of usurpation and also of the heroine in distress. But what should you read if you've enjoyed Otranto or you just want to read a little bit more around it? Well, actually, each of my books here has a potential suggestion. In the Wordsworth edition, you have it paired with Vathek and Nightmare Abbey. Now, Nightmare Abbey is a much later parody, but Vathek is another early text which looks at a very extravagant, over-the-top and supernatural form of the early Gothic. Worth a look. Then we have here the Castle of Otranto and Hieroglyphic Tales. Again, an interesting insight into what else Walpole was writing. But my top tip has to be The Mysterious Mother, which Horace Walpole wrote as a play, but which is fairly unactable due to its rather unfortunate themes of incest and, of course, tragedy and death. Anyway, I've gone slightly over, but I did do my introduction, so hopefully that's a quick step into the world of the Gothic, and tune in tomorrow for another Gothic tale. Goodbye.